So why does feminism poison everything? And I really mean everything. I mean, let's just take one of the most absolutely uncontentious and difficult things to poison that you could get. Say, for instance, raising money to help blood cancer research. And now let's see how many seconds it takes for feminism to poison it.
Hello, YouTube. It's been a while. I've missed you, and I'm guessing that you've missed me too, because I've heard that if a male atheist on YouTube goes too long without calling a woman a cunt, his balls will actually shrivel up and then tuck up inside of him, forming what some call a mangina.
And that was it. That's how the face of feminism in atheism thinks it's the best way to start a charity fundraiser, using this passive-aggressive victim routine to spit poison at the entire male atheist audience.
Because I've heard that if a male atheist on YouTube goes too long without calling a woman a cunt, his balls will actually shrivel up and then...
And I wonder why they get called toxic. And of course it goes without saying that if you call her, specifically her, on being a toxic parasite, she will say, look at all this hatred that women get. It just shows how endemic misogyny is in the atheist community. Now, where have I seen that victimhood routine before?
Now, I'm a pop culture critic, I am a feminist, and I'm a woman. Turns out that there are a bunch of male gamers out there who were, shall we say, not too excited about this project. I found myself the target of a massive online hate campaign.
Because remember, calling feminist frequency a liar just shows how much you hate women, right? It can't possibly be because she actually lied to everyone's face for her Kickstarter.
This is a photo of me at age 10 playing Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo. So I've been playing games for quite a while.
One song, except I'm doing video games. So it's not exactly a fandom. I'm not a fan of video games. I actually had to learn a lot about video games in the process of making this. And also video games, like I would love to play video games, but I don't want to go around shooting people and ripping off their heads, and it's just gross. So
there you have it. Anita Sarkeesian in one sentence. I'm not a gamer because shooting people and ripping off their heads is gross. But the fact that this princess needed to be rescued is an outrage. Because rescuing a princess will make society more sexist.
And as with all pop culture media, the gaming industry is playing a role in helping to shape our society, either by challenging or more often reinforcing existing values, beliefs, and behaviors.
Yes, that's right. Games clearly have an influence on society. I mean, it's obvious, isn't it, that rescuing girls will make society more sexist, while games where you
go around shooting people and ripping off their heads
will clearly make it more likely that you will kill people and rip off their heads. Is it just me, or does anyone else think that the very core of Anita's proposition here is bullshit?
And as with all pop culture media, the gaming industry is playing a role in helping to shape our society, either by challenging or more often reinforcing existing values, beliefs, and behaviors.
To go around shooting people and ripping off their heads.
That the whole crusade that she's got here against games she doesn't even play is built on one single, fundamentally wrong premise. But let's be generous and say that even though she's provided no evidence whatsoever that these games do make people more sexist, and let's just ignore the rather important point that everything else is built on this single, completely unsubstantiated point. No, let's just ignore that for the moment and assume that she's right. Doesn't that mean that she's just got really, really messed up priorities? You know, look at this princess who needed to be rescued because that's going to make society more misogynistic, and that's a very serious problem. Whereas her expert pop culture critic skills seem to have completely missed the fact that there are thousands of games out there that are going to make society more likely to kill people and to rip off their heads. Now, I think, given that there are billions of people killed annually in these video games, and that has no significant effect whatsoever on the murder statistics, suggests that playing video games really isn't a significant factor. So that really does put the onus on feminist frequency to demonstrate why killing people in computer games doesn't have any significant effect on society. While for some completely unexplained reason, rescuing this princess is going to make you more sexist.
The trope quickly became the go-to motivational hook for developers, as it provided an easy way to tap into adolescent male power fantasies.
So video games, like I would love to play video games, but I don't want to go around shooting people and ripping off their heads, and it's just gross. So
Yeah, I can see how that really would be a problem for pre-Kickstarter Anita, thinking that it's going to be difficult for me to play the victim if all I have to work with is I don't like these first-person shooter type games.
I don't want to go around shooting people and ripping off their heads, and it's just gross. So
Oh, I know what I need to say. I need to say that the gaming industry that supplies people who want first-person shooter type games with first-person shooter type games, which I've got no interest in playing, of course, is actually a patriarchal, misogynistic, manocentric manocracy trying to oppress me.
It's very male-dominated. And I think with that male domination comes a sense of entitlement. That these games are for men by men, and that women, if they're going to participate, they need to shut up.
Hey, Anita, I can play that game too. I've got almost no interest in puzzle games. Really don't. But I can tell you with absolute certainty that the fact that there isn't more first-person shooter-type action randomly in the middle of puzzle games just shows how this gaming section is very woman-dominated, and that it's this female domination comes through in this sense of entitlement, that these games were made by women, for women, and that if men want to participate, they just have to shut up. I suppose I should congratulate her, though, because she's managed to sell this bullshit all over the place. And managed to get people to give her $160,000 for something that can be debunked in under a minute.
I'm not a fan of video games.
By the pop culture critic and lifelong gamer.
No. You've got to use feminist reasoning here. Calling her a liar because she lied to everyone's face about being a gamer just proves how much misogyny there is in the gaming community. This is why people like Madonna dissociate themselves from feminism, instead preferring to call themselves humanists. For the simple reason that those who vocally associate themselves with being feminists tend to be so toxic that they poison absolutely everything they come in contact with, including the very term feminism.
I often say if you're not a feminist, then you're a bigot. I mean, there is nothing in between.
The assumption. I'm reading. Fucking face. I'm trying to fucking. I'm letting everybody else hear it, okay? It's not just for you, Mr. Entitled. The assumption that wives should make babies instead of money is part of patriarchy. Can you shut the fuck up for a second, too?
In particular, artists such as Miriam Shapiro and Judy Chicago championed what is today known as vulvic or cunt art to art historians, which can be defined as a type of essentialist aesthetic that focuses on the universal physical characteristics that all women share, their sexual organs or genitalia.
Women are being institutionally oppressed all the time in nearly every facet of our lives.
And when I point out that bitch is a gendered insult that demeans all women, again, most people get it.
Get away from her, you bitch!
Because it's basically a choose-your-own patriarchal adventure porno fantasy.
But recently, feminists have decided that Wikipedia is biased against them. Why? What's the evidence for this? Because they say so, of course. The accusation is the evidence. And now, because of their asserted bias, they want to inject feminism into Wikipedia in an exercise they call wikistorming. Yeah, feminists are looking to poison Wikipedia as well. The irony is, though, on articles I've come across on Wiki, like sexual dimorphism, it's already got the grubby fingerprints of feminist ideology-based edits all over it. But this is the thing. I don't have to claim bias, because claims are cheap, unsubstantiated. No, unlike feminists, I don't claim bias. I demonstrate it. You see, we are part of a sexually dimorphic species. That is, males and females tend to have different physical characteristics. Look, the reason that we divide the Olympics up by sex is not because we are inherently sexist. It's because men and women tend to have different traits. On average, in the upper body strength, it's almost 50% difference. Come on, tell me again how this is really a myth.
The belief that women are somehow a naturally weaker gender is a deeply ingrained socially constructed myth, which of course is completely false.
And I've not seen the study yet, but I'm going to go out there on a limb and predict that there will be no correlation whatsoever between the number of damsel in distress video games and the ensemble differences in the upper body strength between men and women. However, Many who take a few seconds to read the wiki page on sexual dimorphism in humans might come across this, where someone seems to be suggesting exactly that. The smaller differences in the lower body strength may be due to the fact that, during childhood, both males and females frequently exercise their leg muscles during activities like running and walking and playing. Males, however, are socially pressured to enhance their upper body muscles, leading to a wider difference in the upper body strength. But this is the cute thing, when you actually take a closer look at those references, and you find this. The Gender and Science Reader brings together the key writings of leading scholars and provides a comprehensive feminist analysis of the nature and practice of science. And just take that to heart for a second. A feminist analysis. Not an objective analysis, not a scientific analysis, a feminist analysis. Now let's compare that to some of the other studies, like one study of muscle strength in the elbows and knees in 45 and older males and females found the strength of females to range from 42 to 63% of male strength. Another study found that men have significantly higher hand grip strength than women, even when comparing untrained men with female athletes. And both of those are from peer-reviewed scientific journals. I think I'm almost at the point where I can track down the difference between objective scientific research and feminist research.
As you might imagine, this project requires an enormous amount of research.
That is, if anything, Wikipedia already has a feminist bias to it. But come now, feminists, it's time for you to shine. Show me the examples of where Wikipedia is biased against women to the point where you need feminists to storm Wikipedia and inject feminist thinking into its heart.